Hi everyone, welcome back to the coding series. Today's problem is string to integer. Let's understand the problem statement. Implement a function which converts a string to 32-bit signed integer. The algorithm is follows as ignore any leading white space. So if a string contains any leading white spaces, then you have to ignore them. Now second one is determine the sign by checking if the next character is minus or plus, assuming positivity if neither is present. So if you do not find any of these characters, then you have to assume that it is as a positive. Okay. So the third one is read the integer by skipping leading zeros until a non-digit character is encountered or the end of the string is reached. If no digits were read, then you have to return the result as 0. Fourth one is rounding. If the integer is out of 32-bit signed integer range, then round the integer to remain in this range. So you have to round to remind that integer to be in this range. Specifically, integers less than minus 2 power 31 should be rounded to minus 2 power 31, and if the integers are greater than 2 power 31 minus 1, then those should be rounded to this value. Okay, and you have to return the integer as a final result. Now let's understand that with the example here. So here we have 42. Okay, we don't have any leading white spaces, no positive check or negative, we don't have this positive character, negative character, so then you have to assume that as a positive. Then so since that as a positive, and after that you don't have any zeros, so here you have to just return 42. Okay, now in the second example, we are having leading white spaces and even the negative character is found and this leading zero. If you're finding any leading zeros, then you have to ignore them. Okay, and after that we just only have 4 and 2. So since we are finding this negative character, so you have to return integer. You have to return negative integer. So that will be minus 42. Okay. So here if you see, till here we are having all numbers, but after this 7 you're finding non-digit character. So till here you have to return from starting to till here you have to return. So that will be 1337. Okay. Now let's see how we can solve this. Okay. So let's take an example as I'm these are leading white spaces followed by minus and then followed by 0, then 42. Okay, so you have to convert this string to integer, so that will be minus 42, right? Now let's see. So what I will do is, first I will assume this as a positive string. So I will take one variable to store. To assume positive means I am thinking that as 1. Okay. Now I am storing the result as 0 initially. The result will be 0. Later I will append all my digits, all the characters that are present in the string to the result, converting each character to the integer. Okay. Now I will take one pointer that will be I pointing to 0 index. You have to, since you have to iterate over a string, so I will be 0 and next will be n will be ln of s. Okay. So now what you have to do? You have to iterate over a you have to iterate over a string. Okay. So the first condition is ignore you have to ignore any leading white space. Okay. For that, for I less than n, okay, my first. So once you initialize this, your code should start, your logic should start from here. Okay. For I less than n and s of I equal to empty character. Okay. Empty character. Then what you have to do, you have to just increment I. So our I, initially our I is pointing to 0. I will be 0. So 0 is less than ln of s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 6. So 0 is still less than 6. And s of I equal to s of 0 is this one leading white space. So you will just increment. So I will be pointing next to 1. Again, you will come inside this for loop. 1 is less than 6 and s of I is still leading white space. So here I will be pointing to here. So now I will be 2. 2 is still less than 6, but s of 2 is this minus character. So you will come out of this for loop. Now next check will be here. Once you eliminate the leading white space, the next check will be this checking whether the you are having this negative and positive characters. Okay. For that, what you can do is if I less than n and s of I equal to positive, okay, or s of I equal to if s of I equal to negative, then what you have to do? Initially, as I mentioned, I assume the string can be the positive. Okay, positive. So, for suppose you're having this as a plus, okay, plus. So you will check this. I will be 0, 1, 2. I is 2. I is 2. 2 is less than 6. So s of I equal to positive. Okay. Since you already assumed, okay, you no need to write anything for s of I equal to plus. But if s of I equal to negative, okay, then you have to change this sign to -1 because 1 will be for positive sign, -1 is the negative sign. Okay. Now, so once you do that, you have to increment I to I plus plus. Okay. So I will be to 2 plus 3. Okay. Now, so 2 plus 1, 3. Okay. Now, when 2 plus 1, 3, so I will be pointing to here. Okay. Now I will be pointing to here. I will be pointing. So I will be 3. I will take the same example. Leading white spaces, negative 0, 42. So I will be pointing here. Okay. Now you have to iterate. Since you checked all these things, you have to check whether string is containing non-digit characters or digit characters. Okay. So for that, for I less than n and s of I is if s of I is greater than, because you have to eliminate this leading zeros. Okay. So if s of I greater than this 0, because when you iterate over a string, that will be Unicode, that will be byte. Okay. So and should be greater than 0 and less than 9, less than or equal to 9. Okay. Less than or equal to 9 because digits will lie between 0 to 9, right? So that is okay. Now what you have to do? So for suppose you have 342. Okay. How you will write this? Okay. So Initially our res is 0. Okay, so 0 into 10 plus 3, because this, for suppose this is a string. Okay, this is a string. Okay, and when you iterate over a string s of I, initially for suppose I equal to 0, s of I is 3. Okay, that is the Unicode ASCII character. So you have to convert this to integer. How you can do that? You can do that as digit equal to int of, I'll explain, int of s of I minus. So this is to convert this character, that is this character, to integer. Okay, okay, that will be, digit will be 3. Now digit is 3. Okay, so res is equals to res star 10, that is into 10 plus digit. Digit is 3. So that will be 0. Initially res is 0. 0 into 10, that is 3. Now 4. Okay. When 4, so your digit will be 4, right? Digit is 4. So here res 3, res equal to res star 10. 3 star 10, that is 30 plus 4, that will be 34. So again, the next iteration, because it will be inside of our loop, next iteration you will reach a tooth character, then digit will be 2, that res will be 340 plus 2, so 342. Okay, so res is equals to res star 10 plus digit. Can I write this? Yes. Now you have to, as they mentioned, you have to return the integer that should be between this range. Okay, so the range is minus 2 power 31 to 2 power 31 minus 1. Okay, so here okay, this one is int max. So if you 2147483648, that is, this is int max, this is int min. Okay, that means this is 2 power 31 minus 1, this is minus 2 power 31 value. Okay, so if a positive integer is above this int max, then you have to round this to this value. If negative integer is above this value, then below this value, then you have to round it to this one. Okay, sorry, above this value, then you have to round it to this one. Okay, now for suppose, okay, I will take, for suppose the string is 2147483648. Okay, you have reached till here. Okay, you have reached till here, that means res will be, 2147483648. Okay, now you will go to the next iteration, right? So next iteration, I will be pointing here. When I will be pointing here, still I is less than n, right? Now digit will be 8. Digit is 8. Okay, when digit is 8, okay, what you will do? So digit is 8, you will append that digit to the this res. So that will be res star 10 plus 8. So this value is 2147483648, which is greater than int max. Greater than int max. So if it is greater than int max, you have to round that value to the int max and you have to return that, right? So what you can do is, okay, so for suppose, so you have reached, when you reached this index, at the last index, res is this one, right? Okay, res is this one. Int max value is 2147, this one, 483647. Okay, so what you have to, when you divide this by 10, what you will get? 2147483647, sorry, 4, right? So, and our res is this one, that is 2147483647, same, both are same. Okay, then it will be based on the last digit. Okay, if the last digit is greater than 8, that means greater than 7, I can say. If it is greater than 7, okay, then what you have to do? You have to just return int max. Because if you append this value that is greater than 7, if you append this digit value, if digit value is greater than 7, that means 8, 9. Okay, 8, 9. So that will be greater than int max. You can't return this one. Instead, you have to return int max value. So before going to this, before appending this, what you can do is, if res is greater than, for suppose int max, if res is greater than int max by 10, so if res is greater than int max 10, even if you add append any digit, it will be greater than int max, right? So greater than int max. So or 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 here what we got here, when you divide this res, when you divide this int max, so int max is this one. When you divide this int max, you got this value that is equal to this res value. Okay, till this index, your res is this one, which is equal. Now that will be, when it is equal, it mainly depends upon the digit. So what you have to do is, if res equal to int max by 10 and digit is greater than 7, okay, then what you have to do is, based on the sign, if sign, okay, if sign is equal to -1, you have to, I'll explain this. If sign equal to, you can just return int min, because initially you have to initialize int max and int min value, okay, else that will be int max, okay, that will be, if it is negative, you have to round it to negative number, or if it is positive, you have to round it to positive, and res is equals to res star 10 plus digit, okay. You will iterate till the end of the string. Then what you will do, then you can just return res into, for suppose we have only 42, okay, s is equals to 42, it doesn't have leading white space, any zeros, nothing, okay. So your I will be 0, because it won't go inside any of these loops. Okay, so your I will be 0, 0 is less than n, digit you will convert. So initially it will be 4, digit is 4. Okay, digit is 4, res star 10, res is 0, right? Initially it is 0, 0 star 10, that is 4. So your I, you will increment I. Okay, sorry, you have to increment I as well here. So you have to increment. So anyway, this is for loop. Sorry. So I think, yeah, you no need to. So you have to increment. This is not you are not ranging, right? So this will be I plus plus. Okay. So I plus plus. Then you will come here. So I will be 0 and 1. Now I will be 1. 1 is less than length of this. Okay, length of this, and you will check this. So it will still fall in under this range. So digit will be 2, digit is 2, digit is 2. You will check these two conditions. Still your res is not, it will not be greater than int max by 10 or this one. So res is this one. So 40 plus 2, that will be 42. Okay, you will increment I. When you increment I, that will be 2. 2 is less than 2, no, right? So you will come out of this for loop. That means you have reached and the last. So initially you have assumed sign is positive. So you have to return res. Res is 42. 42 into sign. For suppose you have minus 42. Okay, then your sign will be negative like this here. So it will go inside this if condition and your sign will be negative. So your sign is negative, but your res is still 42. So you have to return the negative, right? So that's why you have to multiply res to sign. Okay, I hope this is clear. So let's see. So as I mentioned, I have initialized sign res and index value, starting index, and int max, int min. So n equal to ln of s, and this is to check the remove the leading white spaces, and this one is to check whether you have this positive character or negative character. If not, if it is not, then you'll assume that as a positive, and this is to iterate over a non-digit characters, and finally you will return. So we will run this. All test cases are passed. Let's submit. All test cases are passed. Okay. Now, if you think about the space complexity, so you're just storing this result and this all constant values. That will be O of n. And when it comes to time complexity, you're iterating till n, till uh, end of the string. So that will be O of n. Okay, that will be O of n. So time complexity is O of n and space complexity is O of 1. That's all for today's case. If you have any questions, please do add in the comment section. Like and subscribe for more videos. Thank you.